Sometimes ambition forces dishonesty, and this dishonesty could be about to catch up with Akon. In 2018, the R&B artist turned entrepreneur made a bold announcement: Akon City, a futuristic metropolis which would be built in his native country of Senegal. It's been referred to as a real-life Wakanda by Akon himself, but as time went on with nothing to show, this triggered a wave of criticism, not just from people online, but also the Senegalese government. Unraveling the layers of Akon's persona reveals a disturbing pattern of dishonesty. The vision for Akon City is slowly crumbling, and with it, Akon's legacy. Akon was born in the US to Senegalese parents, but partly grew up in Senegal. The story around Akon's brand is compelling. He's got the immigrant American dream story, going from West Africa to America to find fortune and fame, but also the criminal to success story. Someone who's been in trouble with the law, served his time, and then achieved huge success. In 2014, he launched a project called Akon Lighting Africa, where he would provide electricity via solar panels to hundreds of millions of people across the continent. The project is pretty much a success. After almost 9 years, they provided electricity to roughly 28 million people across 25 countries. It's not the 600 million that he promised, but it's no doubt an extraordinary achievement. Riding high on the success of Akon Lighting Africa, he announced Akon City. The city is going to be powered by renewable energy and is supposed to be a hub for innovation, economic development, and tourism. Apart from that, he described it as a safe space for the Afro diaspora to live free from racism. And one more thing, it will have its own currency called Akoin, a cryptocurrency that he launched in 2020. The initial reaction was a mix of amazement and skepticism, especially when you consider the appearance. But it's been a while since the announcement, and the only thing there is the ceremonial building block from 3 years ago. The city's ambitious deadline for phase 1 would have opened in 2023, and the full city would be complete by 2026. Akon is still adamant that the city's gonna happen. He's blamed C19 for the delay, and he's even given a new deadline for 2026 for phase 1. But it looks like Akon has bitten off way more than he can chew. He recently said that he wished he'd gotten more things in place before promoting it. The project is meant to cost $6 billion, which is significantly more than the lighting project. And so it's come to no one's surprise that nothing has started. It then came to light that Akon's former business partner described Akon City and the Akoin cryptocurrency as a Ponzi scheme, and a former special agent with the US government described it as likely being a money-making scam. There's also been some concerns from the Senegalese government. Firstly, the idea that it would run off of its own cryptocurrency has been deemed illegal. Secondly, the lack of progress on the project is forcing them to consider repossessing the land. Now, let's take a moment and digest what we know about this project. It's a futuristic, smart city which will be built in 6 years and will have its own digital currency. Both the city and the currency are named after Akon. This feels like a grand tribute to himself. It's something only a brazen narcissist would come up with. There's a tower in the middle of the city called Akon Tower, just to remind you who's behind the project. He's also labeled himself the king of the city. It's a vanity project that isn't based in reality. The city isn't the first of its kind either. Many futuristic utopian cities have been announced in the past, only to look nothing like the initial grand description. Multiple architects worldwide have said that, with the budget and the time frame, this project isn't feasible. This also makes you question the rationality of the man himself. Maybe he's just a crazy genius. When Tesla cars were announced, there was certainly a lot of skeptics. But Akon has demonstrated that he's not as smart as he likes to think. He recently claimed that men don't need women to make life, and that he can just use his sperm and an incubator to make a human. So clearly, he's no genius. He also hasn't been honest in his career. For example, when he first arrived on the music scene, he claimed that he served 3 years in prison. A huge part of his image is built around this story. He sang about being locked up and named his label Convict Music, but it later came out that this story was a lie. There's no record of him serving any time in prison. Lastly, we have his ethical dilemmas. Akon's image after his Lighting Africa project showed him as someone who truly wants to improve the lives of everyday Africans. However, from 2007, Akon owned a piece of a diamond mine in South Africa. When asked about conflict diamonds, he said that wasn't a real thing, just something you see in movies. But then he later changed his tune after his announcement of Akon City. He said he got out of the mining business as he came to realize how workers and kids in the mines were being treated. And then, shortly after, a company he owns announced that they were rejoining the mining business. He's also been accused of cozying up to Ugandan dictator Museveni, who's been at the head of a murderous regime for over 30 years. After his visit to Uganda, he said that not every place in the world is made for democracy, despite himself benefiting from the fruits of a democratic society. There is one thing Akon City and Wakanda have in common. Neither of them exist. The sentiment behind his projects is commendable. Akon has said his purpose on this planet is to save Africa, but his desire to bask in admiration and call himself a king is likely driven by a longing for recognition. This charade can only last so long. At this point, Akon has to build something, but I think we all know it won't look anything like this.